Okay, we should be live in theory. There's some sort of delay. Just bear with me for a sec and check a few things. My studio. Yeah, the microphone's working okay. Can't listen to my own voice, so I would not be monitoring. Just assume the sound is okay. Let me know otherwise. Just looking for just share the stream quickly. We can get into business. Join me live. Hopefully someone joins in. If not, we'll just talk to the bot. Just checking the chat for a sec, because I'm using the OBS API, YouTube API. So I actually can close the YouTube window. Don't really need that. And so last week we created these prompts to make a tool to replace one of the tools that we already had on the site. And where did we get up to? We had an error that GPT-3 couldn't solve, so we'll be trying to solve that error with a code interpreter, or whatever they call it now, advanced data analysis, whatever. Problem is, yeah, even if you pay, it's still capped at 50 messages every 3 hours at the moment. So there you go. Right, it actually has access to my files. So create a zip folder. I think it can handle zip files. Upload it to the site. Hopefully that will be only one prompt. I doubt it, because that will be quite a lot. Let's see, what files do we need? So we have those combined prompts that were used to generate the original code. We have a README file. Okay, we don't have it yet on GitHub. Sure, hopefully it will be on the website first. I'm just looking at what files I need to zip to upload for it to be able to solve the error. The error looks like, obviously we need the app file. So we're using Flask, NumPy, SciPy, and that's working okay generally. Let's run it. So we have it running on this local port 5000. Sometimes need to click on it twice. And it's generating this EEG fake, synthetic, never say fake, signal. And that's its frequency bands. I think those are incorrect at the moment. Now if we open development in the browser, doesn't cost us money. We can run it as much as we want, as opposed to GPT-4 that does limit us and cost quite a bit. So there's a GET request been sent successfully. That's working okay. Now problem is when you change, so you want to change the window size to 5 seconds instead of 10. You send that request and you get the following error. So it's a 500 error. It says internal server error. Keep do we need some sort of error log file? Let's create an error log text file. So we have that working correctly. Might as well just, oops, keep forgetting. Control Shift C. Okay, so that's what we get in there. It's called Visual VS C terminal error, and this is browser error, and we get this bit. Do we need all this other stuff? Well, it has all the browser version and the like. I just pop it up, pop it all in. Right, so we have these two errors. We have it in an error log file. Save that. What else do we need? Do we need original prompts? Probably not. The README, well, it doesn't have this GitHub link yet. There's nothing to install. Yeah, that's the quick description. We have the error log. Now this file is also what else do we need? Obviously, then we have the HTTP. Where is it? It's in the right. We have this charts. That's what generated charts, but that's working okay. So probably don't need to upload it at this stage. Index HTML. Yeah, I don't think we need that either. Maybe we do. Okay, let's assume we do. So let's zip those quickly. Static, we have a copy. We don't need those copies. That's what we normally do when we get a code that isn't working. We save the previous code. Yeah, I'll try bot as well to solve the code that wasn't successful. These prompts, we actually combine them into one file. Pretty sure we can get rid of that. Yeah, probably need a folder. Just have a folder called Ava. Just pop all the pop it in there. Yeah, this thing, don't need it. Unless, give me a sec. It's some sort of legacy thing from LabVIEW that we do not use anymore. It's difference between prompts and prompts combined. It's about 130 lines of code. It's a requirements file, that's okay. Test by. Right, so what do we need is template static app Python file readme error log. Let's leave it at that. It's called, call it the gen zip, and we pop it into GPT-4. Let's see what it says, if it gives us anything useful. Please see error file log text file. And this is what I get when trying to change values in the EEG generator application. The application is loading okay the first time around, but when changing values, I get errors. Let's pop this in, see what we get. That's unzipping the files. Okay, we don't need to listen to all that. So it's extracted the error. Yeah, don't care about that error. Care about the second one. the update parameters one. Yes. Okay. It's like, it's as if it's milking prompts out of you because of the 50, what was it, 50 per 3 hours. Oops, just realized you can't hear the bot. You hear the bot.
The partial contents of the app.py file are displayed above. It seems that the file contains a Flask application with some functions to generate synthetic data based on user-provided parameters. The snippet shown above includes the import statements and the initialization of the Flask application and some default parameters. It also includes a function generate_synthetic_eg_data to generate synthetic data and a custom chirp function named custom_chirp.
I carefully already opened the file. I don't know why it keeps asking. That's what I asked you to do to begin with. Yes. I just realized that the 3 hour window should be like a moving window. So it essentially should be like a rate. So you shouldn't be doing more than 50, was it 50 prompts per 3 hours? Well, yeah, if that's a moving window, then we should be fine, but just not bombarding it with too many prompts.
Now, considering that you are receiving a 500 internal server error, the issue might occur due to an error during data retrieval or DAV format from the request. An error in the generate_synthetic_eg_data function when using the updated parameters. To identify the exact source of the error, I suggest adding error handling and logging to the update_parameters function to capture any exceptions that occur and provide more detailed information on the error.
Okay. Okay.
Alright, I will add error handling to the update_parameters endpoint. This way, if an error occurs during the execution of the endpoint, it will be caught and detailed information about the error will be logged and returned in the response, which should help in identifying the cause of the 500 internal server error. Here's how I plan to modify the code. Wrap the contents of the update_parameters function in a try except block to catch any exceptions that occur. In the except block, log the exception message and traceback, and return a JSON response with a 500 status code in the error message. Let's proceed with these modifications. The app.py file has been successfully modified to include error handling in the update_parameters endpoint. Now, when an error occurs during the execution of this endpoint, it will be caught, and detailed information about the error will be logged and returned in response. This should help in identifying the cause of the 500 internal server error. Next steps. You can test the modified application by running it locally and making a post request to the update_parameters endpoint. If an error occurs, you should see detailed error information in the response in the console while the application is running. If the error persists, you can share the new error details with me for further analysis. Would you like to download the modified files to test the application locally?
I don't know why it keeps asking you for like obvious stuff.
The modified files have been successfully zipped. You can download the modified zip file using the link below. Download modified general files. After downloading, you can extract the zip file and run the modified app.py script to test the update_parameters endpoint. If an error occurs, you should see detailed error information in the response in the console while the application is running. Feel free to share any new error details with me for further analysis. Let me know how it goes or if there's anything else you'd like assistance with.
I might uploaded all the files. I think it just said it modified the API. So let's create the copy. Stop running this. Replace the copy. Place. The original one is 107. This is another 10 lines of code that meant to do error logging. So just run this and trace back. It's not defined. It's still working okay. When changing parameters. Well, it's just keep forgetting Control-C versus Control-Shift-C.
The error name error, name, traceback, is not defined occurs because the traceback module, which I added to the script to provide detailed information on exceptions, has not been imported in the app.py file. I will correct this by adding an import statement for the traceback module at the beginning of the app.py file and then create a new modified zip file for you to download and test. Let's proceed with this.
Instead of downloading, so it just takes forever. to download, unzip, copy. Instead of downloading, just generate the code on screen as text. Let's see if it actually listens.
I apologize for the inconvenience. The error message, name error, name, traceback, is not defined, is occurring because the traceback module, which I used in the modified code for getting detailed information about exceptions, was not imported in the app.py file. I will correct this by adding an import statement for the traceback module at the beginning of the app.py file and then display the modified app.py content here as text. Let's proceed with this. The import statement for the traceback module has been added at the beginning of the modified app.py file. Here are the first.
Okay, where is it? Import traceback. Where am I importing it from? The same thing as I had prior.
The error log you provided indicates that the error is occurring in the generate underscore synthetic underscore eg underscore data function when attempting to generate the delta underscore component. Specifically, the error message, unsupported operand types for asterisk, none type, and float, indicates that a multiplication operation is being attempted between a none value and a float value, which is not allowed in Python. The error traceback points to the line where delta underscore component is being calculated. In this line, it seems that delta underscore amplitude is none, which is causing the type error. To fix this issue, you need to ensure that delta underscore amplitude and other amplitude variables are assigned valid float values before being used in multiplication operations. You might want to add checks before this line to validate that delta underscore amplitude is not none and possibly log additional information to help debug the issue. Would you like me to modify the code to add these checks and log additional information, or would you prefer to do this yourself?
It's a trick question, isn't it?
I will modify the generate underscore synthetic underscore eg underscore data function to add checks to ensure that the amplitude variables are not none before using them in multiplication operations. Additionally, I will log information about the amplitude variables to help identify the cause of the issue. Here's the proposed modification to the generate underscore synthetic underscore eg underscore data function. In this modification, I use the get method to access the amplitude values from the dictionary, which will return none if the key does not exist. I added a check to verify if any amplitude value is none and log the amplitude values if this is the case. If any amplitude value is none, the function will return a time array and a zero signal array to prevent the type error. I will now proceed to apply these modifications to the app.py file and display the modified code block here as text. Let's proceed with this.
It's odd if they already generated the function, but you haven't actually changed anything, have you? This one, if none.
The generate underscore synthetic underscore eg underscore data function has been modified to include checks for none values in the amplitude variables and to log additional information if any amplitude variable is none. Here are the relevant parts of the modified code.
We're just generating it again.
I recommend you integrate these modifications into your application and try running it again to see if the issue is resolved. If the error persists, the additional logging should help identify the cause. Would you like to proceed with anything else, or would you prefer to try these modifications yourself?
Okay, so let's save the changes. It's reloaded the application. I need to Control F this, maybe. Right, so it is none. Sorry, I'm losing my voice as well. Probably should turn the microphone off. Let the bot speak or something. Yeah, there's something weird about.
The latest error log indicates that the issue seems to be with the amplitude values not being properly updated. All of them are none. This could be due to an issue with the data being sent in the post request or how the data is being handled in the update_parameters endpoint. To fix this, you need to ensure that the amplitude values are being sent correctly in the post request and are being properly extracted and used in the update_parameters endpoint. In the update_parameters endpoint, the amplitude values are extracted using the following lines of code. You might want to add additional checks and logging in this part of the code to validate that the data received in the post request contains the correct amplitude values and to log the received data for debugging purposes. Would you like me to modify the update_parameters endpoint to add these checks and logging, or would you prefer to do this yourself? I will modify the update_parameters endpoint to add checks to validate that the data received in the post request contains the correct amplitude values. Additionally, I will add logging to display the received data for debugging purposes. Here is the proposed modification to the update_parameters endpoint. In this modification, I added logging to display the data received in the post request. I added checks to validate that the necessary data is present in the request and that the amplitude values are not none. I added appropriate error messages to be displayed if the checks fail. I will now apply these modifications to the app.py file and display the modified code block here as text. Let's proceed with this.
I understand, you already displayed the code, so why are you doing this again? Add some space there just so we know.
The app.py file has been modified to include additional checks and logging in the update_parameters endpoint. Here are the relevant parts of the modified code. In this modification, I added logging to display the data received in the post request. I added checks to validate that the necessary data is present in the request and that the amplitude values are not none. I added appropriate error messages to be displayed if the checks fail. I recommend you integrate these modifications into your application and try running it again to see if the issue is resolved. If the error persists, the additional logging should help identify the cause. Would you like to proceed with anything else, or would you prefer to try these modifications yourself?
It's failed to update parameters. I think that there is just the same. I think we did understand that one is from the browser.
The error log you provided indicates that the issue is with the data being sent in the post request. It seems that all the amplitude and bandwidth values are being sent as none. To resolve this, you would need to check the client-side code, probably in the charts.js file based on the error log, to make sure that the amplitude and bandwidth values are being correctly set and sent in the post request to the update_parameters endpoint. Here's a general guideline on what needs to be checked. Verify the initial values. Ensure that the initial values for amplitude and bandwidth are correctly set and not initialized to none. Inspect client-side JavaScript. Inspect the JavaScript code in charts.js to identify how the values are being retrieved and sent in the post request. Make sure that they are being correctly retrieved from the HTML elements or other sources and correctly included in the post request payload. Debug JavaScript code. You might also add console.log statements in the JavaScript code to log the amplitude and bandwidth values before the post request is made to help debug the issue. Would you like to share the charts.js file or the part of the code responsible for making the post request so I can help you identify and fix the issue? Certainly. To proceed, I would need to inspect the charts.js file to identify the root cause of the issue. You mentioned earlier that this file is part of your application. Could you please upload the charts.js file so that I can analyze the code and help you rectify the problem?
Pretty sure it's an original zip file. It's in the original zip file.
The charts.js file was successfully located and its contents have been partially retrieved. Here are the first few lines.
Okay.
To find and potentially fix the issue, I will need to inspect the section of the code where the post request to the update_parameters endpoint is being made. I will search for this section in the remainder of the file and display it here for further analysis. Let's proceed with this. It seems that the section of the charts.js file where the post request to the update_parameters endpoint is made wasn't found in the initial search. This could be due to different syntax or method being used to make the post request. To assist you better, I will display a larger portion of the charts.js file here so that we can manually identify the section responsible for making the post request to the update_parameters endpoint. Let's proceed with this. I found the section of the charts.js file where the post request to the update_parameters endpoint is being made. Here it is. It seems like the JavaScript is correctly forming the updated parameters object based on form data and sending it in the post request to the update_parameters endpoint. The error seems to be arising because the values retrieved using formData.get, delta_amplitude, formData.get, theta_amplitude, etc. are null. This could be because the form elements with names delta_amplitude, theta_amplitude, etc. are not correctly set in the HTML file. We should check the HTML file to make sure that the form elements have the correct names and are properly set up to capture user input. Could you please share the HTML file or the section of the HTML file where these form elements are defined?
The HTML file is in the original zip folder that I uploaded.
The HTML file was successfully located and its contents have been partially retrieved. Here are the first few lines.
It's always loading on the, not a few lines, a few lines for a human. There's not a few lines for a chatbot, but...
From the extracted part, it seems that the name attribute is missing from the input elements for the amplitude values. This is why the formData.get, delta_amplitude, formData.get, theta_amplitude, etc. methods are returning null in the JavaScript code. To fix this, add the name attribute to each input element, with values matching the ones used in the charts.js file, e.g., name equals, delta_amplitude, name equals, theta_amplitude, etc. Would you like me to make these modifications to the HTML file?
Yes, please. This looks promising because it's different from what the GPT 3.5 used to say. It didn't say that there's a problem with the JSON file. Sorry, with the HTML file. don't.
The HTML file has been modified to add the name attribute to the input elements for the amplitude and bandwidth values. Here are the relevant parts of the modified code. With these modifications, the formData.get method calls in the charts.js file should now be able to correctly retrieve the values of the amplitude and bandwidth input elements. I can save the modified HTML file and provide it to you, along with the other modified files, as a zip archive. Would you like to proceed with this?
Can you just display the code on screen as text?
Absolutely. Here's the modified section of your HTML file.
This looks the same as what we had. That value.
I've added the name attribute to each input element, which matches the string used in the formData.get method calls in the charts.js file. This modification should correct the issue of the none values being sent in the post request to the update_parameters endpoint. You can integrate these modifications into your HTML file and test to see if the issue is resolved. If there are any other adjustments or inspections you'd like to make, feel free to let me know.
Where's the name was added? Right. And this one doesn't have names? No, it doesn't. Okay, it looks promising. HTML form. What happens if I, sorry, I'm not familiar with this. Right. So it does delete everything like that. If I add it back, you know, I have name 13 times. Don't think I had it before. To reload this. What? Where's the button gone? The button is gone, ski. Did you just remove the button? Or did I remove the button? It's the submit button. Got the button. How about this? Should say apologies.
Yes, adding a submit button to the form is essential to initiate the form submission process. You can add the submit button at the end of your form like so. When this button is clicked, it will trigger the form submission event, which in turn triggers the event listener in your charts JS file to send the post request to the update_parameters endpoint. If you don't already have a submit button in your form, you should add one to allow users to submit the
I did have it before you told me to change the code. Can display the code for index HTML. The whole code for index HTML on screen as text should be simple. What?
Displaying the entire content of the file here might be too extensive and probably exceed the maximum message length. However, I can certainly display the modified sections of the HTML file, like the form section, in a series of messages. Would you like to proceed with this, or would you prefer to download the entire file to view it locally?
Yeah, just do whatever. I'll take a break after this as well, so I can swear GPT is changing. Yeah, last time I tried it was behaving slightly differently. It's generating the whole thing, so what's the problem? Saying let's proceed with this and seem to have stopped generating. Normally there's like a continue button that was removed or something. Should, yes, that's the button. Okay, it wasn't that hard, was it? So three parts. Just copy. Generate a copy of this. Right, this one. That 1.7. And that's the last one. There's now no data. Why? Still get an error. Let's restart just to make sure. Right, There's the data. Still get the same error. So no, GPT-4 was not able to help. Something about non-valid JSON. Oh. Check that the HTML that's the new one. Yep, it looks like the new one. That's the one. Hey, we're having trouble with. Let's give it another try. Last try. It's working okay to begin with. Say you want to increase theta from 1 to 1.5, update parameters. Failed. Let's see what it says. Probably nothing. Let's see how long. You're getting up to 1 hour.
The error message you posted indicates a new issue in the Python code where the EG data is being generated. It seems like there is a type mismatch during a multiplication operation inside the generate_synthetic_eg_data function. The error is occurring because one of the operands is a string, indicated by dtype less than U3, and the other is a float, which is not allowed in multiplication operations. The issue seems to be that the amplitude values are being received as strings instead of floats. This could be because the values from the form are always sent as strings, and we need to convert them to floats before using them in mathematical operations. In the update_parameters function, before calling the generate_synthetic_eg_data function, you can convert the amplitude values to floats like this. You should do the same for the bandwidth values as well if they are involved in any mathematical operations. Would you like me to modify the app.py file to include these changes? The app.py file was successfully located and its contents have been partially retrieved. Here are the first few lines.
It's a new problem, but it seemed to be there.
I will now proceed to modify the update_parameters function to convert the amplitude and bandwidth values to floats before using them in mathematical operations. Let's proceed with this.
They are floats. They have decimal point.
The app.py file has been modified to convert the amplitude and bandwidth values to floats before using them in mathematical operations. Here's the relevant section of the modified code.
What? So it removed the check.
The modification ensures that the amplitude and bandwidth values are converted to floats before being used in the generation of synthetic EG data. This should prevent the type mismatch error that was occurring before. Would you like to download the modified files now?
That's all the way from here up to update parameters, custom chirp. It's again also making sure that it's zeros instead of nans. So we already tried addressing that problem before. Let's see what was changed. Yeah, this float. Okay. Just trying to make sure I'm copying the right stuff. Right now I'm getting 500. Okay, so the error is gone. However, yeah, I need to rearrange it so we can see it on screen. So say if theta is 10 instead of 1. The error is gone, but the chart is not updating when update EEG button was pressed. Okay, we got 2 minutes. Can we make it?
It seems that the issue is now with the updating of the chart when the update parameters button is pressed. This could possibly be due to an issue with the JavaScript code responsible for updating the chart. I would recommend checking the following points in the chart's JS file. Ensure that the AJAX request to the update_parameters endpoint is being made correctly and that the response is being received without errors. Verify that the chart data is being updated correctly with the new data received from the AJAX request. Make sure that the chart is being redrawn after the data update to reflect the new data on the chart. Would you like me to check the chart's JS file to see if there is any issue with the code that could be causing this problem?
Got 1 minute.
The chart's JS file was successfully located and its contents have been partially retrieved. Here are the first few lines of the chart's JS file.
It's like doing the same thing again.
The update charts function seems to be properly structured to update the charts with new data. It takes a data object as input and uses the plotly.js library to plot the EEG signal and spectrum charts with the new data. To pinpoint the issue, we also need to check the part of the code responsible for making the AJAX request to the update_parameters endpoint and calling the update charts function with the response data. Would you like me to continue checking the remaining part of the charts JS file to identify the issue? Here is the continuation of the charts JS file.
Okay, got
This part of the script
run
defines
out
a
of
function
time.
calculate power, which seems to be a placeholder function returning random values for the power in different frequency bands. You might want to replace this with actual power calculation logic at some point. Next, it defines an event listener for the form submission which prevents the default form submission behavior, retrieves the form data, and constructs an object with the updated parameters. Before making any assumptions, let's view the remaining part of this file to completely understand the AJAX request logic and see if there's any issue there. Shall I proceed?
So there's some template calculate power.
Here's the remaining part of the charts, JS file. In this part, the script constructs an object with the updated parameters and makes an AJAX request to the update_parameters endpoint with a post method. Once the response is received, it is supposed to handle the response data in the then data equals greater than block. However, it seems that the update charts function is not being called within the then data equals greater than block to update the charts with the new data. You can modify this block to call update charts function with the new data like this. This modification should ensure that the charts are updated with the new data received from the server when the update parameters button is pressed. Would you like me to make this modification for you?
Yes, please.
The charts JS file has been successfully modified to call the update charts function with the new data in the response handler. This should allow the charts to update correctly when the update parameters button is pressed. Here is a snippet of the modified content, first 1000 characters. Now, I will prepare the modified files for download. Let's proceed with this.
It's weird when it says, let's proceed with this. What am I supposed to, am I waiting or, no, it stopped generating. That's okay. So in JavaScript, okay, I had this function already, so what's the problem? Seem to be the same. Generate updated code on screen as text. Keeps wanting
Certainly.
to.
Here are the modified sections of the app.py and charts JS files. In the update_parameters function, the amplitude and bandwidth values are converted to floats. In the event listener for form submission, the update charts function is called with the new data in the response handler.
Okay, I think we got that. That's what stopped the error from displaying.
These modifications should resolve the issues with the application. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to do.
Get element by ID. Have the same fetch update parameters method post. It's the same. Right. Don't have deadline. Why do I have a feeling I had it there before and then the bot removed it? Well, it's easy to blame the bot. This looks odd. Why? Is it refreshing? No, I don't know. Right. It's working. This should have been much higher, like 10 times. Okay, so we got something working. That's good. The theta should be at 100. Yeah, this plot is showing something wrong. In my control, control F. When you reload it to begin, that's a bit weird. You would expect it to update parameters when you reload the page. You didn't. Yeah, and obviously this just displays random things. Well, that's because we have that placeholder. So no, yeah. So GPT-4 was able to fix an error, fix the chart actually updating. Don't actually wanna the bandwidth. It's not actually being taken into account, is it? It's not changing anything. That's okay. Right. Well, yeah. We'll continue in a bit. We want the chart to update just when you change the values. We also want them to be vertical and horizontal sliders. These bits, and probably place them somewhere else. But yeah, it's working okay now. So GPT-4 code interpreter, whatever it's called now, was able to help us fix some issues. So we can continue making progress. Zero work, just have to check. Yeah, it does. Yeah, we have to fix this. It's just some random stuff. Where is this? Let's trace this for a sec. EG spectrum chart. That's the ID of that item. This is where it's being plotted with power data. This power data is just fake. No, wait, calculate power. Calculate power. Yeah, random. That's a placeholder value. So we have to change this. I'll be doing that next. So the power spectrum actually displays useful stuff. I'll see you in a bit. Just